members of our Congress, you will always have, within our government, those that are above the law. Hey, it's me. Now, apparently this incompetent Democrat, this buffoon, Robert Mueller, has been cobbling together a flimsy case that WikiLeaks coordinated with Roger Stone, who then coordinated with the White House via Steve Bannon and other people. Now, of course, it's too flimsy to show in court, but it would be enough for congressional dim-dems if they do get the majority in the House, and they can create some kind of a conspiracy story. And then President Trump would be an unindicted co-conspirator. Now, if he can put together a flimsy story like that, then why hasn't he interviewed Hillary Clinton? You know, the Russians worked together with Christopher Steele and Sidney Blumenthal, a close associate and ally of Hillary Clinton, to create the Trump dossier, plus Nellie Orr, the wife of Bruce Orr at the DOJ, at Fusion GPS, and of course the Hillary campaign, Choco and his administration, gave money, as well as the DNC, to the lawyer firm to then give it to Fusion GPS to create that very dossier. On top of that, you have a dossier with Russian information being used by James Comey, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, fooling a FISA court. Again, you're talking about misinformation, part of it coming from Russia, from the Kremlin. Christopher Steele, this failed spy of MI6, admitted himself that many of his contacts were in Russia, even in the Kremlin. And that's not as flimsy as the WikiLeaks Roger Stone story, yet Robert Mueller has not interviewed Sidney Blumenthal, Hillary Clinton, or those people at the DNC that gave to Fusion GPS, and many other actors in the whole story. He completely ignored it. Why? If he's really probing Russia interference, then why would he completely ignore the Trump dossier story and Hillary's involvement? Because he's looking at every single possible connection to Trump, including even Dr. Corsi, who is like an unknown and not connected to Trump even. So why not interview Hillary or Sidney Blumenthal? Now, he did talk to Chris Steele last year, and that was probably to coordinate the talking points, because of course if Chris Steele was using Russia information at the same time that he was leaking this Trump dossier, he was also being an anonymous source for Yahoo News, talking about the very dossier, and in that article he's listed as an anonymous source. So you get that? He sends a story, and then he himself is an anonymous source in the story. You can't make this up. And of course you always have John Brennan hovering around the story, as well as James Clapper. And so this incompetent buffoon didn't ignore all of this because he's incompetent. It's because he's playing for their team. He's not someone who's looking at Russia collusion or Russia interference. He's someone looking at a way to take out President Trump. And that's it. He's a Democrat operative. Now, people on our side are going to have to start saying that this guy is a clown, a Democrat clown, but also exposing that he's been a complete disaster his whole career, to be honest. He messed up the 9/11 investigation, the Benghazi investigation, the Anthrax investigation, and in the 70s, for example, the Hells Angels investigation. And you wonder how some of these cases didn't turn out to be a success. I mean, this guy can mess it up just like any Democrat could. I mean, you take something, it's almost like a slam dunk, or it's an alley-oop, and Robert Mueller will mess it up. And so, of course, you will say, hey, that's good for us, right? He can't nail Trump to the wall because he's so incompetent. It's true, but it's not just that. You have an incompetent buffoon trying to make a case where there is no evidence, zero evidence, no crime, nothing. So you're asking too much of this incompetent buffoon. I mean, you're asking him to put together some kind of a case, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Of course, he's going to depend on some of the underlings, but they're likewise not qualified, and they don't have the skill set. They don't have the smarts. So we see a lot of buffoonery, hackery, assholery, and it's embarrassing for our nation. And Robert Mueller needs to pay the price. We have to look at if he did anything that constitutes abuse of power, and the system has been saving him, just the way the DOJ and the FBI have been protecting their own for 2 years now. It's been pretty disgusting to see, and of course they're going to protect Robert Mueller. But this guy, from Uranium One to the fake Benghazi hearings and everything else, he has been a national security threat. Not to mention his time in Boston dealing with Whitey Bulger, where you have FBI agents looking the other way and allowing this guy to distribute heroin to high schools and, kill people all over the place and rise to the top, thanks to people like Robert Mueller. It seems that in the FBI, you have a lot of good people, but you also have some of these bad apples. People that are working together with the gangs, with the MAFIA, or any type of mob, and they're probably benefiting from it in several ways. And that's a collusion. Collusion with the MAFIA, collusion with the mob, and collusion with gangs, and in this case collusion with a Democrat radical cabal that are undermining a sitting president. He's colluding with them. I mean, he's the opposite of a patriot. He's a traitor. Robert